Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Teemu Arina from the Biokers Handbook and also upcoming Resilient Being book. So today's topic is resilience, longevity, and how can we, slow down aging. What I really like about, longevity research is that, it's really pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human and kind of getting into the nuts and bolts of why we are on this planet, because in the end aging is a very central part of that process. So if we go back in evolution to the times when we were just single cell organisms and there was like basically the Earth's magnetic field was not as developed as it is today, and we were receiving occasional bursts of magnetic radiation from the sun, for example, and that induced mutations in single cell organisms. And those cells that continued dividing despite the DNA damage, those actually died over time. It was not a good thing. But at some point there was adaptation that happened, which basically led to something we call DNA repair. So basically the cells stop dividing. They notice damage, they go back and they basically fix the damage. And there's many other processes like that in the human body. One of them could be described as autophagy, which is the way how the body is recycling damaged cells. There's different imbalances in communication between cells and organ systems. There is different metabolic dysfunctions, mitochondrial dysfunction, and so on that are contributing to the aging process. And luckily our system is extremely resilient. It's very resilient in its ability to repair damage. But that is also part of the reason why we age and why we die so young. In nature there are animals and insects and a bunch of other things that seem to live forever. So tardigrades are really good examples. Jellyfishes are great. Sharks can, swim forever, not get cancer. And so in nature there are species that seem to have defeated the hallmarks of aging. But as humans, we still have them. But it's part of our capability of being so extremely adaptive and resilient in the environment where we are. So those are the topics today. We welcome you to join in the chat. So the Biker Summit YouTube channel, there is a chat on the stream and you can throw in your comments. I'm also following the chat on Siim Land's YouTube channel as well. So hello, everyone who is there. There's already a pretty educated audience there, so I recommend you to check out the chat because people are already talking about things like metformin, resveratrol, rapamycin, spermidine. I actually took spermidine this morning. Spermidine, sperm, that's where it comes from. It was actually first discovered in sperm, and it seems that it is activating autophagy and longevity. So I just took that this morning to see what happens if I'm going to live forever like a jellyfish. So if you have any questions about how you can become a jellyfish or tardigrade or whatever, you're welcome to join the chat. And I have a couple of single cell organisms joining me. So in studio we have Dr. Olli Sovijärvi and a multicellular extracellular organism, Siim Land from Estonia, who despite his age seems to live forever already. So we will learn a lot from him. Of course, he has written several books about aging and the processes that break or make us. So welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, hello. What's up?
Hello, thank you very much. My absolute favorite animal is Hydra. You heard it right. It's Hydra. If you cut it in half, it's kind of like Medusa or this jellyfish type of creature, but not so. So if you cut it in half, it can regenerate itself. So that's pretty amazing. And there are different kind of animals. Tardigrade, of course, absolutely ridiculous. Can tolerate like 150 degrees Celsius and almost to the close to the absolute point of zero.
Yeah, that's probably close to closest to, Chuck Norris we have in the animal kingdom. And what is interesting when you mentioned that these divide and they replicate by cutting them. Actually, as humans, we can live forever by dividing, basically by reproduction. And I think that's one of the reasons why we die, is that we can pass on the information to the upcoming generations, so that we live as long as is needed for the epigenetic changes or the information from the environment to reach our DNA, to modify itself, to be able to adapt to the environment. And there is this paradox, which is basically that if the environment is changing faster than we are doing this process, so meaning if we extend lifespan, so if we are like doubling, tripling, quadrupling our expected lifespan or even health span, which is probably the better side of aging here, at the same time when the environment is changing much, much faster than ever before. So if you think of the times you live in, like this electronic media and food mass production and supplements and all that, I mean, none of that existed like 100 years ago. A couple of 100 years ago, we were just coming into the industrial revolution even. And if you think about, the next 10 years, probably we're going to have more changes than we had in the last 100 years or 50 years. So in a sense, it is almost irresponsible to live forever, because then you don't allow nature to take the adaptation. I see aging and dying as a filtration. It's kind of like artificial intelligence filtering information that we want to pass on to future generations so that they can survive. It's almost selfish to live forever. But at the same time, if evolution is too slow, it's a good question if we have to become biohackers so that we start to take evolution into our own hands with intelligent design. So we take supplements and we adapt to the environment and we're very conscious about it. And if nothing else is possible, we take, technology to a level, maybe, 3D printed organs or implants or whatever is needed in that stage, maybe even DNA manipulation. But we are manipulating our DNA already by changing our diet. We are manipulating our DNA by changing our lifestyle. So in a way that's a softer approach, but maybe there is a harder approach also, and that also provokes a lot of philosophical, existential, even religious questions and ideas, if it's okay for humanity to take its evolution into its own hands. So that's what I think about it. So I think we live forever already by having children, but at the end, like, some people want to live forever in a petri dish.
Do you know what's David Sinclair's favorite song?
Go ahead.
The Queen Who Wants to Live Forever.
Okay.
I don't know if it's true, but couldn't help it.
His last name reminds me of singularity.
Yeah, you always pronounce it like that. But anyhow, we have some pretty amazing news regarding the follow-up for the Biohacker's Handbook. And can we have the slides? It is the resilient being. Master your biology of resilience, immunity, and longevity. And now, actually, to this date, this exactly moment, it is now, you can pre-order it. Go to the Biohack to Resilient Being landing page. So let's go there. This is gonna be a monster of a book. So I think we all already have like about 500 pages done, and we still need to write quite a bit. And this will be the most comprehensive book about human resilience ever written. Of course, Siim has amazing books. They are totally going deep into their topics. But let's see what's actually inside. We have divided the resilience actually into 5 different categories. There's physical resilience, mental resilience, social resilience, spiritual resilience, and environmental resilience. We're going to have a closer look at metabolism in general, the nervous system, autonomic nervous system, how to hack your traumas and emotions, go deeper into the structure of the ego and the shadow, the Jungian style, what is consciousness, what is transcendence, how can we transcend ourselves. And then there is hormesis and immunity. There's an index in the landing page. physical resilience, different kind of stuff, go through ketosis, intermittent fasting, HPX, autonomic nervous system, stress in general. On the mental side, we have actually written Biohacker's brain nutrition book, which is going to be integrated in this one. It's about 250 pages. So what is a resilient brain, neuroplasticity, gut-brain, microbiota connection, brain foods, nootropics, and so on. Environmental resilience, hormesis, the concept of hormesis, the immune system, nature connection, calorie restriction, environmental toxins, longevity, autophagy, and so on. But we know that there are a lot of books that go through these three categories of resilience. But there isn't that many books on social resilience, which also integrates childhood, environment, experiences, parenting, personalities, different kind of personality types, Jungian archetypes, ego, and the self, and also the shadow and the subconscious. And of course, the dark triad of personality traits. And then there's trauma and different kind of therapies. So we wanted to go deeper into these elements because they are critical and integral part of what is to be a human, what it is to be a resilient being. And then there's spiritual resilience. What is our ancestry and heritage? What is consciousness? How can we affect our consciousness? We have the universal mind, responsibility, transcendence, immortality, the constitution of man, and how to become from the wounded healer to Prometheus. So if you want to support, go ahead, Teemu.
Yeah, it's amazingly extensive. Like it's really kind of like after the Biohacker's Handbook, how can we overcome ourselves? And we just have to do something that is, beyond what we have written so far. It's not an easy feat. So this is the book that we are writing right now, and we are happy to have, a massive part of it is done already. So if you want to support us, please pre-order the book now, and you get a lot of perks that you would not get otherwise. For example, you get all the extra material that never makes it into the book. With Biohacker's Handbook, there was over 200 pages of recipes and deep stuff that just didn't, make it into the printed edition because there's always limited number of pages we can print. And the other thing is you get access to a private Facebook group where there's people who are interested in resilience and longevity, where the authors of this book are happy to answer your questions, and the community as well. And we also give you discounts and free perks into biohacking and longevity and resilience related products together with our partners. And with each book, we will send out to all the people who pre-ordered a complimentary gift. With the Biohacker's Handbook, we did send originally Biohacker's chocolate bar that was handcrafted by us. Unique piece, never available again. And we will send something similar with this book. So it's only 39 euros, and you get, over 500 euros worth of goodies. And also, access to our upcoming Mastering Resilience online course as well that goes through the parts of this book. So you get immediate access to some things and over time to more and more goodies as we go forward. And you're welcome to go to theresilientbeing.com or biohack.to/theresilientbeing. And you're welcome to take a look at the book. biohack.to/resilientbeing. And you will be on our pre-order list. So that's our sequel, basically the actual sequel to the Biohacker's Handbook that we're working on. With that, I'll hand it over back to you, Olli.
Thanks, Teemu. So this I'm actually excited. We finally got this really kickstarted. Of course, we have been writing this. I've been basically doing it with Inka and Teemu for about 2 years now. And now is the time to actually release it for your support so that you can help us bring it to you and get as big, print as many copies as possible. So as many people as who would like to get it, actually get it. And I would like to also credit beforehand Siim Land's work. He's done like monumental work, for example, on the metabolic autophagy, which is a huge part of the physical environmental resilience. And actually, this is like I think this is the first print of this one, and you have come at least the second version of this book. And the latest book I got from Siim was The Mineral Fix, which is absolutely insane. I don't think I've ever seen so many references, like 4,700 or something like that. So I think the references in itself take like a couple of hundred pages, but it's worth the information. And even me as a person who has a web course in Finnish in how to fix your nutrition, different like nutritional elements, learns something about this book. So yeah, welcome Siim Land. How's your day? How's your autophagy? How long do you think you're gonna live?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, but today was a regular productive day, and had a good workout before. How long am I gonna live? Well, that's who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen in the next few years? So yeah,
yeah,
always have to take into account the unexpected. So, but yeah, if everything goes as planned, then I'll plan to live, as long as I need to.
Yeah, as long as you're needed in this planet and you have fulfilled your kind of mission. So nobody knows. We could die tomorrow. So you have to live like you wouldn't live another day. So that's why resilience is also that. I want to know what was your workout like before this? You usually do a workout before our sessions. What did you do
today was a leg day, so I did barbell squats in the gym.
Barbell squats.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, I usually when I train legs, I usually do like squats and maybe calf raises, but yeah, not that much else.
Yeah. Well,
I already have like pretty big legs, so
yeah. Well, if you squat like 180, which is ridiculous. So
yeah,
So Siim is absolutely.
There's a comment from our audience. Harry is commenting that Siim is a sexy beast. He's an Estonian blonde with intelligent. It's a killer body. So there you go. But I'm wondering, if all that growth hormone is actually going to cause cancer in Siim's body earlier, or if he's a calorie restricted monkey that's going to live forever. What's your take, Siim? Because there's this idea that balancing anabolism and catabolism, that's where longevity comes from. So does it make sense to have so much growth hormone, so much meat for activating IGF-1 and doing those heavy workouts?
Yeah, well, there's the signal and there's the response. So you can still activate the signal without necessarily causing this response. So although I do train a lot, I also fast, I also eat like a higher protein intake, my IGF-1 levels are actually really low. Like the last time I took them, they were like 100, so which is actually super low. And it means that not necessarily everything that is associated with growth hormone or IGF-1, it doesn't have to lead to these negative side effects if you're balancing it with say fasting or something. So yeah, if I were to be eating 6 times a day, then I would be probably worried about that, and my IGF-1 levels would also be higher. But because of doing everything else as well correctly, then I'm not worried about it.
I think Siim has found the perfect the code or method how to combine the best of both worlds, staying young but also creating as much power and muscle and kind of strength as you can be. So if you think about aging and the biomarkers, I find this classic book, The Biomarkers, from 1990 or 1991. So the first features actually there are which are related to anti-aging and staying alive in general are muscle strength and muscle mass. So these feats are definitely a good thing. Of course, you can go and take it totally overboard, having 300 pounds of mass and with extensive use of steroids, like this monster bodybuilders who usually they don't live maybe into 40s or max 50s, and they die out of different kind of issues. Right. So there is a limit to that as well.
There is a lot of interest from our audience in supplementation and all that. I also had some berberine today, for example. I also had some NAC because I'm not as young as Siim. I mean, I might look like I'm 20 or something when I'm actually close to 40. And one thing, as you age, your glutathione levels naturally they get lower. So I take occasionally some building blocks for glutathione. So today I took some N-acetylcysteine, which is a building block for glutathione, alongside with glutamine. And what's the other compound? Cysteine, and the third one is
vitamin C is a part of that too.
Blackout. But anyway, so our bodies they run out of certain things, and that's linked to the hallmarks of aging that Siim is going to give a little primer soon. But maybe Olli can remind our audience about our offers today.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, we have a different, it's a pretty extensive section on ketosis and keto products. And as we know, probably most of us know, ketosis is related to autophagy and the elements in biochemistry and the metabolism that has to do with different factors that affect our aging. So we have an extensive section on the ketosis. But also, actually, we are coming up pretty soon a Nordic wild herb training course. So I wanted to mention this, and this is a absolutely beautiful cover just finished today by Jasmine, and we already have a lot of material shot for the course, and Sami Talberg is the leading guy behind the course. So stay tuned for the Nordic wild herb training. But before going into these ailments, I want to show a few favorites of mine to support healthy aging and promoting longevity. David Sinclair's been talking about resveratrol, I think so much that anybody who knows who is David Sinclair knows about the resveratrol and how much he takes. And this is also pretty staple in my supplement regime. I usually combine it also with nicotinamide riboside, and maybe twice a year, kind of like a set of NMN as well. But I don't want to take these like all the time because I want to give the system a little bit of rest. But I think resveratrol is something that you could actually take on a daily basis. Of course, we have a pretty good, or actually I would say like excellent products, which are a combination of different kind of things related to autophagy and energy metabolism, the regulation of the mitochondrial function, which is definitely the Qualia Eternus or Qualia Life, as I think it's named at the moment, but also Qualia Mind. I like them both. So I don't take like the doses they recommend because they're absolutely ridiculously high. So even a microdose of these two work wonders. I've used the Aqua Ultra, like the tap filter. I don't drink the tap water, even though it's kind of like clean, but it still has some elements I don't want to put in my body. So clean water is essential for our system. Of course, if you can get into a good well or even like good quality spring water, that would be even better. For exercise, we have this brand new Hypervibe G14, which is absolutely ridiculous vibration machine or plate. At its best, it's actually creating 7.0 G-force to your system. So that's actually more than even in the biggest Formula One corners drove with over 300 kilometers per hour. So absolutely insane stimulus. Standing 1 minute in this device, that's corresponding to 20-minute walk. And for minerals, we have Biooptimizer's Primargen Whey. So this is a liquid form of different minerals and fulvic acids and so on. So I really like that stuff. And before we let Siim take over, Teemu also has some favorites that I actually have this device here. It's the OmniPEMF or NeoRhythm. It's this kind of device creating different PMF programs, whether you'd like to have like a boost for your cognition or you want to relax before going to sleep or just relaxing. So, for example, if you put it here, it stimulates the prefrontal cortex, and usually in the evening I put it like back in the neck, and it's creating these more like alpha and even delta waves. So I find this OmniPEMF device really powerful, and since I got it like 3 months ago, I've been using it on a daily basis. And well, Teemu, let's go ahead.
That's super cool. So a couple of things that I selected from the store of our offers. We have Life Extensions Optimized Resveratrol. It's trans-resveratrol form, which is the best one from studies. David Sinclair takes 500 to 1 gram, 500 milligram to 1 gram of this on a daily basis. They have seen significant improvements in the lab for the aging markers and just the looks of hearts of animals, and same applies for humans. So if heart health is important to you, resveratrol is a key thing. Quercetin would be another thing for mitochondrial health for sure. That is a very good supplement to look into. In terms of figuring out what ketosis is doing to your body and understanding your body's glycation, the glycation test is great. So you basically get this box, and inside the box you have instructions. There's instructions in here, and so there's a blood collection kit, super easy, you can do at home. And then you have an envelope for sending this back to the lab, and you get the results. And this test you can do on a regular basis, actually, to figure out how diet and lifestyle changes are affecting your aging potential by looking at the glycation aspects of your body. And there are other tests, of course, like on our store, you also have the ketone testing devices. We have the ACE track, which I think is one of the best right now for measuring the ketosis and understanding if you're in nutritional ketosis or not. Yeah, that's right there. So that's a recommended product also that I would pick up. And on a daily basis, I use caprylic acid, so fractioned coconut oil, because it kickstarts ketosis, and it's just a perfect fuel for the body. It's very popular among biohackers, but I'm not just using it in coffee. I'm also putting it in my salad dressings and in other types of drinks, also some teas that I make. I like to use it. And along with my coffee, I often put also wild-crafted bone broth. I'm not just using, collagen as it is that you can buy as a supplement. I like to have a full spectrum approach to this. So I think the dehydrated bone broth powder that we have is just absolutely the best on the market to definitely throw into different beverages that you might have. It's super easy to transport and use. So if bone broth is a bit hard sometimes, like try this stuff. And with that, I'm also every day I'm using mushroom products. On our store, you have now just the absolutely best mushroom products on the market. So this just came in, never been available before. So what we have here is Mighty Fungi double extracted mushroom products. So lion's mane, I mix in my coffee. It tastes like toffee, almost like. Has a bit sweet taste, but there's no carbohydrates. It is actually increasing neural growth factors in the prefrontal cortex, has also immune system supporting functions, just like chaga. And these are, by the way, the highest quality products on the market in terms of lab testing. We have the lab certificates, and we know that this stuff is clean. It's not some crap from China that many manufacturers sell. This is good stuff. We're from Finland, and here in the north, the mushrooms are clean. So chaga. that's one thing, double extract that I use kind of as the basis for supporting immune system. And then for energy metabolism and increasing blood oxygen intake, I go for cordyceps, which is definitely, it's also a bit stimulating, so I wouldn't take that in the evening. For evening, I take red reishi. There's different types of reishi, but red reishi is definitely the best one on the market. And this particular red reishi is very good in the evening for relaxation and overall kind of immune system support. And they also have a 4 mushroom complex where you have all of these together. The taste is amazing. It disappears in your drink like nothing. And take a look at the mighty fungi mushroom extracts. Those are some of my favorites.
You might become a fun guy.
Very fun
when you
guy.
eat a lot of fungi.
Oh yeah. So take a look at biohackercenter.com. There is a bunch of other products also there, keto chocolates and bars and stuff like that available. So here we go.
Siim, are you ready to rumble?
Hallmarks of aging.
Let's go.
And by the way, if you have any questions, jump into the chat window. There's a lot of good stuff coming up already. We're gonna get into your questions in a moment. People are asking what is the age of Siim Land. I don't know. I think it's 5,000 years old based on Buddhists. There's people who are saying they're long users of NAC. Yeah, someone corrected me on the glutathione. So it's glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. That's the building blocks for glutathione, correct? And let's jump into the hallmarks of aging.
Yeah, go ahead, Siim. Are you unmute?
Sorry, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Now we're talking. All right, go ahead.
Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet. Now we are.
There we go.
Yes.
All right. So here they are, the hallmarks of aging. And this is kind of the ones that are brought out by this researcher, Lopez, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 2013. And there are 9 of them. And Teemu also mentioned that, there's one additional 10th that he can mention afterwards. But yeah, basically the 9 hallmarks of aging are 1, genomic instability, which just, refers to these, DNA mutations, things like that. As you get older, the instability increases and your risk of cancers and DNA mutations goes up. Then there's telomere attrition, which telomeres are, describes these protective caps on the chromosomes, and that the damage also occurs during DNA repair, etc. So if they get shorter, then you're going to experience much more DNA damage. Next one is epigenetic alterations, which refers to everything like related to epigenetics, like methylation, histone deacetylase, and that sort of thing. And methylations are basically moving methyl groups around, as well as like either longevity genes or bad inflammatory genes. Next up is loss of proteases, proteostasis, which is everything related to protein and putting together protein and degrading it. So you're losing muscle mass is one of the biggest, like Olli said, one of the biggest things that tends to happen with aging. Deregulated nutrient sensing, which is a part of losing muscle mass because your anabolic hormones, these growth pathways in the body, they go down, like IGF-1, testosterone, mTOR, growth hormone, they go down with age, and this ability to build muscle and use these anabolic pathways also becomes dysfunctional. And next up is actually also mitochondrial dysfunction. And mitochondria are the power generators of the cells. And as mitochondria become damaged or old, then your entire cells also eventually become so damaged that they turn into senescent cells, which is the next hallmark of aging, cellular senescence, or they're also called zombie cells, that they just stick around there. They don't really have any benefit to the body, but they accumulate damage and they spread the damage to the neighboring cells as well. And next one is stem cell exhaustion, which is stem cells are these rejuvenative cells, that replace old and worn out cells. And as you get older, your bank of stem cells will become depleted and exhausted. And the last one is altered intracellular communication. So communication between cells, and as well as between these different systems in the body, like the endocrine system, the nervous system, the immune system, etc. So they're just going to experience this, I don't know, jet lag or something, miscommunication. And NAD, you mentioned NAD as well. So that is one of the biggest, let's say, the one recently has gotten the most attention to in regards to aging. And NAD is also one of those things that goes down with age. So if people don't know, then NAD stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and it's a very major coenzyme in the body that is involved with almost everything. And as you can see from this graph, that it's basically involved with all these hallmarks of aging: the telomere attrition, DNA damage, epigenetic alterations, mitochondrial dysfunction, stem cells, senescent cells, proteostasis. They're all kind of implicated with NAD in some way. Like you need NAD to conduct different processes in the body. And as your NAD levels go down, then these things also basically start to suffer the most as a result of that. And with your age, your NAD levels tend to drop quite rapidly. So, if you're young, then they're quite high, but even after like your 30s or so, they're going to start to decline quite rapidly. And by the time in your like 60s or 80s, then you're going to have less than half of the NAD that you had in your youth. So NAD is, there's many things that deplete NAD and deteriorate it. The biggest one is actually inflammation, and because the inflammation kind of activates this one most major NAD consuming enzyme called CD38, and because of that, if you're inflamed all the time, then your body basically has to use NAD to repair itself and deal with inflammation. And plus, other things as well, aging, DNA damage, all those things consume NAD in some shape or form. And NAD itself is very linked to the sirtuins, which are also considered, let's say, these longevity proteins in the body. And the sirtuins have many roles. One of the roles is to help with the recycling of NAD through this rate limiting enzyme called NAMPT. And a lot of your NAD is actually recycled during the day. It's just that if you inhibit this NAMPT enzyme, or you don't have enough sirtuins, then this NAD is not going to be resalvaged. So how do you recycle this NAD besides using maybe some NAD precursors? There's also the sirtuins, both as well as NAD, are circadian rhythm dependent. So they're both linked to the circadian clock system, and the main clock is called clock BMAL1, and this is regulated by sirtuin 1, and the sirtuin 1 is also dependent on the circadian rhythm synchronicity. So the biggest problem is that if you're, let's say, misaligned with the circadian rhythms and you're experiencing jet lag and sleep deprivation and those things, then this NAMPT enzyme is going to be basically inhibited or suppressed. And if this goes off, then NAD is also not going to be resalvaged. And this, is one of the biggest, I think, underrated aspects to this accelerated aging, that because your circadian systems are out of sync, then your body isn't able to produce enough of its NAD. And as a result, you start to experience all these hallmarks of aging at a faster rate. And because the thing is that the majority of your NAD is resalvaged during the daytime. So up to 90% or 80% of it is resalvaged through this NAMPT enzyme. And you imagine if you are inhibiting it, or if you're, let's say, not fully optimized with your circadian rhythms, then you're kind of missing out on a lot of the NAD, and you wonder why do I feel tired, or why do I have this symptoms of accelerated aging and deterioration. So the circadian system is one of the biggest actually, let's say, underdogs or overlooked a lot. And this also reflects with the natural process of aging. So another thing that does happen as you get older is this hormone production, or the robustness of the circadian rhythms goes down, so it becomes more damp. So young people have like these really big swings in these hormones, like really big swings in cortisol and melatonin. So in the morning they produce a lot of cortisol, and at nighttime they produce very little, and at nighttime they produce more melatonin. So that's like how our body is supposed to work, because of there's day and night, and our body also produces different hormones based upon the time of the day. But with your age, as you get older, biologically, that is, then this robustness or the swings become very, less pronounced. They dampen down, and as a result of that, people who are old usually sleep less. They sleep about like an hour or two less on average because of not producing enough melatonin or not producing enough cortisol. So, part of the reason has to do with this dampening of the circadian hormone system. But fortunately, this doesn't have to be, inevitable. It's there's a lot of actually some studies that do show that things like calorie restriction and intermittent fasting, they can help to repair these circadian rhythms and rebuild this robustness because of helping with NAD resynthesis. So things like intermittent fasting, calorie restriction, even some exercise, and being aligned with the circadian rhythms, not being desynchronized, that helps to reproduce the NAD and resalvage it, which then keeps your circadian clock system also intact. And with your circadian clock system intact, then the hallmarks of aging are going to be slowed down. You're going to maintain this better intracellular communication and better genomic stability, better DNA repair, and that sort of thing. Whereas things like shift work, circadian disruption, being inflamed all the time, jet lag, or not doing any forms of time restricted eating or something, then your NAD levels are going to be lower, and this will lead to the slow deterioration of your circadian clock system and low NAD, and then you're going to get all the hallmarks of aging. That's it.
Die. Oh, thanks, Siim. I was drifting into my years as an ER physician, and that chronic disruption of the circadian rhythms and night shifts and nurses. I kind of wondered as a young doctor, how come most of the nurses were fat and they were definitely not healthy, and this explains a lot. Going through this kind of like a 3-shift work, having night shift and constantly changing, it's not staying the same, but their shifts are kind of shifting forward. Yeah. So they age definitely a lot faster, and then there's kind of like artificial light and bad air, stressful work environment, and so on. So if you want to live healthy, I don't recommend that you train yourself as a nurse or a doctor. That was impressive. From your slides and the knowledge you have, it seems that you're getting deeper and deeper all the time. One thing or one sign that didn't mention in these like 9 hallmarks of aging was actually recently discovered, and that has been shown to be like the 10th sign of aging, which is the extracellular matrix stiffness and dysregulation. And this is kind of a very interesting topic, because we know that once people get older, their bodies get stiff. And when you watch an older person walk, they usually like this, and very stiff body that's going like this, and of course sarcopenia and loss of strength and muscle and so on. But this extracellular matrix stiffness definitely has a place here, and we discussed like in the Finnish version of this webinar that like this manual therapies, fascial release, like muscle tissue release, and you get release of these like scar tissues, and breaking down these extracellular matrix is I would say it's very important what comes to anti-aging and what comes to longevity. So you take care of your body that it stays young, especially for athletes, because this kind of these adhesions in different kind of tissues, they develop if you create a lot of microtrauma and you don't actually have the perfect position for the regeneration of the broke down tissue. So that's for example, for bodybuilders, they might be like super muscular, but they also might be very stiff just because of this. And so this is like the 10th sign of aging. Of course, has to do with a lot of like different kind of molecular pathways and creating rage, as we can see in the in the
diabetes.
Diabetes.
Now, it's so hard to clean out from the system. I mean, there is, if you take, for example, the heart and you take the aorta, it tends to expand like a rubber band as you age, and it becomes stiff. And that causes loss of pressure in microveins. So when your heart is pumping blood in microveins, you get like a change in the pressure, and it's a very delicate system, and it's very hard to fix. I mean, you can just replace the aorta with surgical.
So calcification is like one of the biggest things.
Even if you take resveratrol, like it's not going to restore it to its original functioning, and it is extracellular. It's a matrix. It has these cross links, and breaking them is like extremely hard. And we don't know yet like what to do to this problem. Like even if you fix everything else, like cancer and heart disease in other ways, like still like this is a huge problem that's gonna show up as you age. Now, there is a lot of questions about supplementation. Like people are probably interested in hearing what you guys think about NAD. Someone is asking quite advanced questions also about how do I pronounce this? Versus pterostilbene.
Pterostilbene.
The rapamycin, metformin. I took some spermidine, berberine. Many of these are linked to actually to blood sugar regulation and kind of avoiding, I guess, the inflammatory damage also that high or fluctuating blood sugar values might cause. Like, what do you think, Siim, about supplementation and so these anti-aging supplements?
Yeah, well, depends on which one. When it comes to like comparing resveratrol and pterostilbene, then both are supposed to be like sirtuin activators, and but I think that pterostilbene is also like considered like a NAD precursor, whereas I'm not sure if resveratrol has been considered at that. But resveratrol usually has like other benefits as well, like better with blood sugar and like glycation and things like that. So yeah. I think like if you take one or the other, then that's gonna be plenty enough, so you don't need to like stack them together or something like that. When it comes to like NAD precursors in general, then I do I think that they can definitely be useful as a like this occasional thing that you take in the right amounts. So yeah, taking them all the time is probably not a good idea because excess NAD can also have like some bad effects on like cancers and things like that. So you would want to maybe only use these NAD precursors if you are like jet lagged or sleep deprived or circadian rhythms are mismatched. Then they can definitely do help. Like I actually recently did this experiment. I measured my NAD levels as well. So before I started taking like the larger doses of NMN for like a month or so, then before that my NAD levels were already like in the high zone, but I'm curious to see, like I sent the second test back to the lab, but it hasn't like arrived yet. But maybe in a few weeks I'll know what has like taking a large dose of NMN for every day did it raise my NAD levels even higher. But one thing I did notice was that I need less sleep if I take like this NMN, so that you're less affected by sleeping shorter, and you're still keeping yourself energized while doing that.
Do you think the NAD plus can be too high?
Well, I don't know. Like depends on your age or something, and depends on how high. For sure, like if it's maybe depends on like what measurements are you using, so to say, to measure it. So the reference ranges that I was in the test was like above 20 was supposed to be high, and mine was like 24 or something, 25 or something. And they did say that some people who are taking a lot of it have reached the score of like 60 or something, which
Okay,
sounds pretty high.
Insane. Yeah, because I have to think about this like diminishing return, like this kind of like a U-shaped, like this inverted U-shaped curve, that there has to be some kind of limit to the advantages, and then it actually might get back at you. So
you may score high, but you may not notice any difference. So there's probably not a difference between having a 40 or 30.
My approach has been that I take both the NR, the nicotine amino riboside, and the NMN at the same time, twice per month, like just maybe like 30 days. So that's my approach, and that seems to work pretty well. I haven't measured yet the NAD level, so that's also my one question to you, Siim. What measurement do you use actually to get this NAD plus measured? So I know definitely in Finland we don't have a lab who's measuring these.
Yeah, actually the only, let's say, at-home test kit out there is by this donotage.org. It's like a company that has they sell like different resveratrol and NMN, but they also have this first NAD testing kit basically that measures like the NAD in your blood.
There is actually a Finnish test at the University of Helsinki. They have developed a method for measuring NAD levels directly, and they use that in study.
That's like a lab, but the one that I used was you get the test kit into your home through mail.
Yeah, but basically what I mean is that this type of testing is still early, and it's probably gonna become much more easily accessible. And the test that Siim is telling about this is one of the first ones on the market about testing this. Now, of course, you can measure your ketone levels and all those kind of indirect markers that are related to NAD production. But to go back to the conversation about if you should take NAD supplements and maybe many other things, like there's a question from Portia Snyder. I'm 73 years old, young, active runner. I exercise, eat healthy. I need to know if NAC I'm taking is a benefit for my body and bones. And there is this interesting thing about many of these supplements related to anti-aging and also for cognitive decline, that the studies are often done on elderly people, and you see like significant improvement in elderly people, but in young people you don't necessarily see a benefit, and there might be a reverse effect. And a good example is actually glutathione and NAC. So if you are over 70 years old, you actually get extreme benefit from taking NAC and glutathione as supplement. But today I reviewed a couple of studies about NAC and glutathione, and they tend to, in high amounts, increase tumor growth factor, like the tumor occurrence and growth of tumors also. Like if you have a tumor with NAC, you're going to speed up its growth, at least in animals.
Yeah.
This is in animal model, but of course, like if that translates to humans, we don't know yet. But it's similar to some of the studies that they did with vitamin E, looking at another antioxidant, and they noticed that supplementation with vitamin E is, if you're not deficient on it, might be a stupid idea from cancer perspective. So sometimes you actually need this catabolism and oxidative damage actually. And a good example is senescent cells. Like senescent cells are one of the hallmarks of aging also, but they have a role in wound healing, for example. And exercise is another good example. If you exercise, you want to cause damage. If you take a lot of antioxidants afterwards, you're going to diminish the effects of exercise. So you want damage sometimes. You just don't want to suppress it everywhere. And if you suppress inflammation greatly with these supplements, and if you suppress several processes in the body that are related to inflammation, then there might be a counterproductive effect. So we forget sometimes that the human body is a homeostatic system and it strives for balance, and often all extremes are bad. So you want to have a balanced system. So definitely for Portia, NAC is a good idea. And what Siim just said about NAD supplementation, and someone would also say about NAC, is that it's perhaps not for a healthy young individual daily regimen. It's something you take strategically when you are under a load or stress, sleep deprivation, where you are showing up parameters or signs of aging, or if you're accelerating aging with certain behaviors, then like drinking alcohol, then you might want to take NAC. So taking it every single day or a long period of time, we don't know yet from science perspective if it's a smart thing to do. Like with certain vitamins, it's definitely not. What do you guys think about?
Yeah, I'm totally on the same path. And for example, NAC, I take it if I drink alcohol very rarely, maybe like 600 milligrams, and maybe once a year, a longer period, maybe like a few weeks, I boost these levels. But my glutathione levels are already high. I've measured them a couple of times with the Genova Diagnostics Nutribol test, which is, in my opinion, the best nutrition metabolism evaluation test kit you can have. Yeah, I actually ordered liposomal glutathione to my father, who's 74. He's very active, very healthy, and he actually asked it for this C virus thing, and we know that the glutathione levels actually go low, and he's definitely in the risk group. So taking some liposomal glutathione as over 70 years old. Grandpa is a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, this dose regulation of mitochondria is a big issue with aging, and it's also related to several virus infections, including this virus, which name I don't remember, which is going around the world. I don't remember now what it is, but basically this weird virus, it actually hijacks your
adenovirus, I think, yeah, or retrovirus.
It's basically hijacking your mitochondria for its own use, and definitely like something like that or any other type of infection, you may want to boost your mitochondrial function to get back on track, especially if you have these, I think they call them some kind of like long, I don't know, but long-term like kind of symptoms or effects. So in that situation, it's often a mitochondrial dysfunction behind that kind of weirdness, as well as immune system like doing its own weird stuff. So balancing it out, you definitely want to restore mitochondrial function, which is I think it's not discussed enough in the context of disease recovery. So yeah, there's some good questions coming in Voodoo's Chile is saying regular rule of thumb is to cycle all supplements. Exactly. You don't want to be religiously doing something every single day for the rest of your life. Even metformin, that has been discussed in the anti-aging and longevity circles as some kind of thing that several of these figures have been taking on a daily basis. Now many of them have stopped using it, like Peter Attia recently said in Tim Ferriss' podcast that he's no longer taking metformin. If you're a young individual, taking metformin might diminish your muscle mass and development and make you actually pretty weak. But like if you are over 70 years old, maybe that can extend your lifespan much more easily. So actually supplementation becomes so much more key when you are older. Melatonin is another example, like melatonin production is reduced as you age. So then you want to support with these things for sure.
I would like to comment on the metformin side, because there is a lot better equivalent, even better option, which is berberine. So it doesn't have the same like side effects that metformin has, but almost exactly the same benefits with berberine. And even better, that's like recently discovered, is the active metabolic form of berberine, which is the dehydroberberine. So I see a lot more potential in that, and as what I've seen and taking closer look at the research, the side effects are very minimal when you compare it to metformin.
Yeah.
So guys, what are like the key things that you do to on a regular basis to extend your lifespan? For me, I would say most of them are free. Things like heat alteration, cold thermogenesis, sauna, fasting, intermittent fasting, basically sleeping enough. So many of these kind of healthy lifestyles that activate naturally your body's pathways related to longevity and autophagy and make you live long, those tend to be the best stuff out there. What do you think, Siim, for example?
Yeah, I think like, all the things that we've talked about, I think they're not going to increase like your lifespan, so to say. I think they're going to just increase the health span, which, is the that you mentioned earlier, this functional, basically wellness and functional fitness for longer. So for our humans to go beyond our, natural lifespan or something, then yeah, we need to, do more like genetic engineering or something like that. So they say like all this biohacking is, I think it's just to increase your health span and keep you younger for longer. But anyway, I think one of my favorite ones is still, like mentioned also in the presentation, that intermittent fasting is one of the most effective ways of keeping your circadian rhythms working better, and also helping with energy recycling. Then next to that, of course, exercise, maintaining muscle mass and strength as well, and sleeping well, sleeping in a, let's say, in a regular, consistent manner. So kind of waking up and going to bed around the same time to maintain the circadian alignment, and just eating, covering your micronutrients from diet, which you need, the minerals and vitamins to produce the antioxidants and defense systems. And lastly, maybe like hot and cold therapy is also generally associated with like greater longevity and just better resilience in general. So hot and cold. The cold, I think the cold makes sense that the cold would maybe have like a bigger effect on longevity, that it kind of slows down the enzymatic reactions in the body, and kind of, the cryotherapy and freezing yourself in the future is, a thing that people think they're going to live for longer by freezing themselves and waking up in the future. So yeah, the cold that does, slow down this biological aging process, at least like in the short term.
Yeah, that's some health span to spend your life in a coma, cold induced coma, where all your systems have been like gone to zero. Yeah, that's all the same stuff Siim mentioned here. I would also add like good social relations, because we know the blue zoners, they have like a very good social connections, good connections to the family. You have this certain entourage, like your close people, and you're spending a lot of time with loved ones, and having a nice family interaction. And of course you need also touch, you need close connection to other people, but you also need some what I would say increases health span for sure is art, music, and having a spiritual meaning. Like feeling that you have a place in this world, like you're doing something meaningful for yourself. We have discussed the concept of ikigai before. That is also something to think about. Being grateful, like I do this 5-minute journal every day, and that's been transforming the way I think about each day and how I begin and end my days. And for me, humor is like comedy and humor it's absolutely necessary, and having at least one good laughter per day, most preferably like more ones, and just joking around, being kind of like the fun guy, eating a lot of fungi, and it's smiling in itself creates these positive signals and changes the biology of your brain and your happiness, and that has a lot to do. You can do like all these things, like these things mentioned here, right? But if you're not having a social relationships, you're living alone, and just digging a grave to your own griefs, then it's definitely not going to increase the health span.
Some people might say that they became the healthiest ever after they divorced. So not always that way for some people, but in the end, of course, good relationships. We are social beings. That is very important. Now, if we are looking into longevity itself and the different mechanisms, in the end, it's all about living a balanced life and having a good lifestyle and diet and social support. And with biohacking, you can kind of push the last mile, a couple of last miles, definitely. Perhaps with a little bit more advanced rejuvenation technologies, we are able to extend human lifespan even beyond the current limits. The current limit is around 120 years old. If you do everything right, you might be lucky to live 100 years. Maybe with biohacking, we push that for 20 more years down the road. Now, the question I have for you guys is like if someone wants to, start taking care of themselves and making sure they have not just long lifespan, but good health span, what are the basic things to start from? Like what should you avoid? I think is also one important factor to bring out, because we are also accelerating aging with different choices that we do. So what are the things that you would avoid if you want to avoid also becoming sick and accelerating the aspects of aging?
Well, I think it's very genetic based as well, because if I'm not mistaken, then one of the oldest people who lived smoked cigarettes, and usually there's actually a lot of these people who are centenarians and they're like drinking and smoking a little bit, so they have just good genetics for that. So but yeah, I think you have to actually look at much more so the status of your body instead of what you're doing, sort of say. So some people can eat like a lower carb diet, some people eat a higher carb diet, and what matters is mostly like their actual their biomarkers. So like, do you have diabetes, do you have metabolic syndrome, do I have high blood pressure? You can stay in the optimal zone with all the healthy biomarkers on almost any diet, and you have to. I would much rather look at the results of what you're doing instead of like the methods of how you're getting there.
Diabetes. Yeah. Can you, Teemu, repeat your question? Yeah, avoiding. Okay, I repeated myself. That's a good point. Siim like mentioned there. So take the blue zoners. I think they like quite many actually like smoked cigarettes, and but they did it in the social like gatherings, and it was like a shared experience. But probably it has to do with also genetics. And for Finnish people, alcohol is not. It's not that well tolerated, and we actually have like kind of like the rage gene, which makes us like even more intolerable to alcohol and its negative effects on behavior. So definitely like taking it easier with that. Of course, hormesis, what is too much and what is enough to create a hormetic response. That's also one thing. I would go also into this more like social and environmental aspect. So avoiding negative people. Of course, this is kind of like a cliche, but if you spend a lot of time with the people you don't want to spend time, who are like constantly nagging and constantly like being negative and not with good energy, so to speak, that's also I'm pretty sure that's taking years of your life. And if you're spending your life in a workplace that you're not really wanting to be there, you're not doing what you actually want to do, can take years of your life. So doing something that you actually like and surround yourself with people you want to spend time and that make you feel good, and of course challenge you a little bit. That's a part of the growth, but not like being constantly negative and maybe even like pressing you down. So that's something I would add here.
I would also add that looking at the blue zones, one of them is that they constantly move throughout the day, so they don't use elevator cars, or they don't sit in chairs in front of their computers. They are tending their gardens, often in pretty rocky mountain, seaside kind of environments. They are having activity throughout the day, so it's the greasing the groove method that they practice throughout the day. The other thing is fresh air. So lack of environmental pollutants and city life and stress and hurry and schedules and to-do lists and all that stress, that is one thing definitely that breaks things down and accelerates aging. So if you can learn stress management as a skill and spend more time in nature and having activity throughout the day, that's already a pretty good thing compared to just having supplements and workout between your moments of computer use. One thing that I want to comment about the negative people thing is that is slightly a trap, because some people, for them, actually, it's all about changing their attitudes or relationships to the way they think about these situations or people. So you can change other people, but you can change yourself or your response, because in the end, the stress response that happens on a biochemical level, the signals that you're getting in, it's you in the end who is creating that response. So learning also to tolerate people and differences and taking a different perspective, or maybe asking questions that if someone is, raging at you, that maybe they have a bad day and it's not about you, it's about them. So it's all about how you approach situations also that makes you live longer. And in that sense, Stoic philosophy, which is very abundant in biohacking circles as a concept, is I think one of the cornerstones of attitudes when it comes to situations, that everyone's life is a suffering, but in the end it's your choice how you respond to it. And that I think is important to remember also.
Yeah, for sure. You can train your
the Stoic approach.
Yeah.
The Stoic approach is to actually, engage in disputes and these bad people because you're, increasing your mental resilience in the process. Whereas, the Epicurean approach is to avoid discomfort and avoid challenges and avoid bad people, so to say, just so that you would maintain your own peace of calm through that. But the Stoic approach is, that I'm going to maintain my peace of calm even if I am surrounded by these bad situations, bad events, or bad people.
Yeah, I would like use hormetic approach into this as well. So
microdose.
Yeah, of course, you need to be in situations that are not optimal, and for example, like a super crowded, let's say this super or like a supermarket place with hundreds of people walking around in a hurry and stress and wearing masks and watching each other. So I take, for example, these as practices to improve my resilience and the tolerance. Of course, you can sense what's the general vibe in there, and you don't necessarily want to spend the whole day there, but that's also increasing your stamina into these kind of situations. I just spoke to a lady at my daughter's football training. So she's a mom of my daughter's friend, and she's working as a lawyer in this construction company, and she just described her typical working day. I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. Spending hours in these Zoom conversations, and even in the workplace. So they're basically shouting every day. So I wouldn't want to be shouting every day at work and taking in this shouting and bad behavior. So there's also a line that you can say, okay, no thanks, I choose something else.
All right, guys. So I think we are coming to the end of this stream here. And Harry is going to the gym already. And
do biceps.
Greetings to Siim. Stay healthy, and thank you for your educational lessons and videos. And Chris Wickman is commenting on understanding and knowing your genetic weaknesses. That can help if you address them. That's definitely true. For me, like vitamin D levels, I can measure it in blood. I can supplement what's on the bottle, but in the end, genetic tests showed me that I absorbed it, and I'm a person who, from a genetic reason, has averagely lower vitamin D levels. So for me, I need to take higher doses. So I'm taking from a dropper bottle a bit higher doses every week, and that keeps that at check. And Olli is a highly sensitive person, probably genetic reasons on the nervous system. So he needs to avoid crowded supermarkets and negative people and all that. So you have to understand your own personal context from which you are coming from and kind of tune your environment to that works for you. Like if you are doing exercise, understanding what kind of muscle types you have and what is your recovery rate, and not engaging in activity that's going to speed up aging or potentially risk a heart attack or in the end also like injury, for example. That's another thing, like people get musculoskeletal and biomechanic problems also that hinder their performance, or their discs in their backs become a problem. And when you get into chronic pain and chronic inflammation, it has a systemic effect, which is interesting. It's like you can have like just if you think about the pillars of healthy life and aging, in the end, you just have to like get into trouble in one area, and there might be a cascading effect. There might be a cascading effect from just getting one chronic ailment that leads to addiction, that leads to poor relationships, increased consumption of foods that you don't want to eat, depression, whatnot. Like this can basically, like this whole card of house, the house of cards can just like crumble down. And that's part of resilience, is to be able to holistically understand the different aspects and take care of multiple different fronts. Like you take care of your gut and you don't get like systemic effects in your body, for example. You can do all the exercise, but if your gut is destroyed, like many people who have done exercise, they report at extreme, they report like that led to years of problems by going too far on diets, for example. So living a balanced life is certainly one of the cornerstones of living a long life. All right, so we have great offers at biohackercenter.com. There is the ketosis category, and also go to the resilientbeing.com. You can pre-order the Resilient Being book. It's the sequel to Biohacker's Handbook, over 1,000 pages in the works, and everyone who pre-orders supports our work. If you like what we do, this is one of the best ways to support, and we give back a lot more than the book in exchange. So with that, I thank you guys, and I wish you an amazingly resilient week, and that hopefully expands your lifespan. I'm going to take a lot of sun, because I don't get that too often when I'm indoors, or only a couple of months in the year. I think Olli is going to do the same, and Siim definitely. And for our audience, if you liked this session, please subscribe, please like, please share, and please type in the comments, what did you like about this webinar? How can we improve? What was the best? How are you extending your lifespan or health span? We are eager to hear from you.
All right, I'll see you around.
Thank you, and signing out, and have a good weekend or the next week and the summer. Adios.
Ciao.